A mysterious time travel into the untouched nature of planet Earth. Geopark, where the breezes and the sunshine rest in beauty and wonder. Geopark is the gift of nature that not just anyone can share. Geopark is a valuable asset for humanity. Geopark is a specialized sightseeing area where you can experience the harmony of scientific significance, rarity, and beauty. Geopark is also a cultural space which does not only contain geological value. Such a marvel has been attracting thousands of tourists seeking real entertainment. Currently in Korea, 5 places have been officially certified as national geoparks, which are Jeju Island, Ulongdokdo Island, Busan, Cheongsong, and Gangwon Peace Area. In 2012, December 27th, Jeju Island has been certified as the first national geopark along with Ulongdokdo Island. Jeju Island has a world-class reputation for its variety of volcanic landforms and abundance of geological resources. These are some of the geosites that are selected for its geological excellence. Songsan Ilchulbong is a hole formed by volcanic cluster ash. Manjanggul Cave, the only cave available for exploration. Cheongjeon Waterfall shows the forming process of the valley's waterfalls and the erosion of sedimentary layers. Sangbansan Mountain, Yongmori Tafring, Suolbong Tafring. Jongmun Depot Coast Collamer Joint and Learning Center, created from cracks of melting lava, Sogupo Formation, and Gotjoal Forest. Ulongdokdo Island is a volcanic island with great beauty located on the East Sea. On the southeastern area of Ulongdo is Dokdo, which is made up of 89 rocky islands. It is the most eastern island of Korea. In the center of Ulongdo is Songinbong Peak, the Guardian Mountain, and Nari Basin, which holds a primitive forest. Ulongdo is also famous for Taeha Trail with its beautiful coastal views, Craneport Beach, where you can find the records of Ulongdo's pioneering history, Elephant Rock, which looks like an elephant drinking seawater, and Dodong Jejong Coast, a wave-cut terrace. Dokdong Donginmun Bawi Rock, a sea cave which is deformed into a bridge-like shape. Bongne Waterfall, Gobuk Bawi Rock, Mushroom Rock, and Yongchulso Spring are also worth visiting. Busan Geopark, certified in December 2013, is well known for its various exotic sites and geological formations that are used as natural and cultural resources. Usuldo Island is a natural sand island inhabited by various exotic animals and plants. There are a total number of 12 geosite tourist attractions, including Busanban Yo Rock, Taejongdae, Oryukdo Islets, and Igidae, which are formed by volcanic activities and erosions from the sea. Cheongsong National Geopark was certified in April 2014 along with Gangwon Peace Area. Places such as Juwong Mountain Territory, Ignis Rock Region, and Shinsung Territory. These following 17 geosites have been officially certified. Kiem Cliff, formed as fingers pointing towards the sky. Yongyong Falls, the largest waterfall in Juwong Mountain National Park. Cheongsong Spherolytic Rhyolite. Yumun Rock, Baeksok Tan Valley, and Shinseung-mi Dinosaur Footprint, the largest in Korea. The 5 local governments such as Chulwon, which is located near the DMC, Hwacheon, Yeonggu, Inje, and Gosong, earned recognition in the areas of territory, geology, culture, and environmental inheritance. There are a total number of 21 geological tourist attractions, including Sambuyon Falls, built with granite over a long period of time, Gosok Rock, a 15-meter-high granite located inside the valley of Hantangang River, Gogung Kaegok, formed of 9 different magnificent views that hold Korea's ancient spirit, and Dutaeyeon, a beautiful waterfall that is a combination of a stream which has created a hole through the rock, Sokho Lagoon, and Honjinpo Lake, which are considered as the largest of lakes. Along with preserving nature, Geopark seeks to become a world-class tourist area. As the beauty of our geological inheritance shines around the world, we hope Geopark is considered as the big gift of nature. For the globalization of Korean Peninsula's geoparks, we will continue striving. National Geopark. Gift from nature, a valuable asset for humanity.
Kara, and as you may know, Jeju Island was created through a series of volcanic eruptions. It was also certified by UNESCO as a World Geopark in 2010. So let's put on our geologist hats and go find evidence of these volcanic eruptions. The first stop on our little geological tour is Cheonjeon Waterfall. Even though you can't see the waterfall yet, you can definitely hear it. I'm so excited to go see the waterfall. Let's go. A waterfall sitting right in the middle of a beautiful forest. Jeju sure is a mysterious island. But I'm not here just to see a waterfall. It's the cliffs behind the waterfall that hold a geological secret. If you look closely, the upper and lower parts of the cliff have different layers. The bottom is called the Sogipo layer, and the top was made by fresh lava erupting and covering the Sogipo layer. But aren't you still curious about the Sogipo layer? Let's find out more at our next location. Just a hop, skip, and a jump away from Cheonjeon Waterfall is the Sogipo layer. Here, you can see thousands of ancient shellfish within the Sogipo layer. This is the only place where you can see the Sogipo layer this well, making it very geologically important. The Sogipo layer is a stratum created by the accumulation of volcanic material and marine sediment. Hot magma exploded into the sea and then cooled and started to accumulate. Then marine deposits, like shellfish, mixed and piled up over the years to form a stratum. Oh, I found one! It really does feel like a treasure hunt. Shall we go see if we can find another one of Jeju's geological treasures near the ocean? Let's go! This is Daepo Port. The ocean view is beautiful. Even the seawall is beautiful, don't you think? This is where we're going to be able to see some beautiful sculptures shaped by nature itself. These natural sculptures are Jeju's famous columnar joints. Should we go take a proper look at them? These are the columnar joints, also known as Jusong-jolli. The way these are formed is when the lava hits the water, cools rapidly, and then shrinks. The reason Jusong-jolli is so famous is because they stretch out to be over 1 kilometer in length. Each and every single one is shaped so perfectly. I can't believe that they were formed naturally. So how was our little geological trek through the history and formation of Jeju Island? World Geopark Jeju is ready for you when you're ready for a world of natural beauty and mystery.
Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to everyone. We will begin shortly with our Geoheritage Park Virtual Forum 2026 with the title Science, Law, Face for and in Geoheritage Conservation and Geopark Governance. Okay. Firstly, welcome to everyone, and I'd like to thank all of you for giving to be here with us today to listen to our wonderful lineup of panelists. Before that, like any other standard webinar procedure, I would like to kindly remind all of you a few items to ensure the success of our session, inshallah. Firstly, please kindly ensure that your video and microphone will be muted at all times, and only the videos of this moderator will be played throughout the session. And we will begin shortly and hope to end by 4:50 p.m. And if you have any questions or comments, kindly leave in the chat box due to the time limitation, we hope to cover all the comments and your question and that you would like to ask to the panelists, the moderator. However, should the connection from your end suddenly fail, do not worry. You may enter the session again clicking the provided link. And finally, we will be uploading our recording of this webinar as soon as possible in our website. So thank you again. Wish you all a very pleasant and educational session today. So with that, let us begin. First and foremost, a very big thank you to the President of our Geological Society of Malaysia, Associate Professor Dr. Geoheritage, also to our Director, Institute for Environment and Development, Lestari, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, Professor Dr. Goh Chuta, and also to the Research Center, Dr. Nurhayati Ahmad. And to our wonderful lineup of panelists, Dr. Sujay Lee from the Korea Geo Network. And hopefully, we would like to also welcome Dr. Li Jia from our Chinese Geopark Net, and also to Associate Professor Dr. Ayu Krishna Yudawati from University in Indonesia. So today, our Geopark and Geoheritage Virtual Forum will be moderated by our wonderful moderator, Professor Dr. Ghani from the Institute for Environment Development, Lestari UKM. And to all our honorable guests and participants from across the Asia Pacific region who jointly joined this afternoon, we would like to thank you from the bottom of our heart. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I am Sharina Abdul Halim, Senior Research Fellow from Lestari UKM, and as your MC today, and I would like to introduce our dear moderator for today's forum, Professor Dr. Sarah Aziz Ghani, who is our dear professor and principal research fellow at Lestari. She read and received her training in law, specializing in environmental law during her pursuit for master's and PhD degrees. Prior to joining UKM, Professor Sarah Aziz served as an advocate and solicitor of the High Court of Malaya. Her research, teaching, graduate supervisory and advisory work focuses on the various aspects of law and its relationship with environment and natural resources, as well as the linkages between law and sustainable development. So please welcome our dear moderator, Professor Dr. Sarah Aziz.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Sharina, for the very kind introduction. I'm in an amazing room filled with amazing people, so allow me first to introduce our two panelists. If you allow me to read their CVs out to you, it's very, unfortunately, we had to cut it down a little bit in the interest of time. So we have with us Dr. Sujali, or Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee in Political Sciences from the Seoul National University in Korea. He got it in 1996. Subsequently, he was employed by the Basic Science Institute at Seoul National University from 1996 to 1997. From 1997, he worked as a postdoctoral researcher at the Department of Geology and Geophysics, University of Wyoming, USA. Following this, Korea Institute of Geoscience and Mineral Resources from 98 to 99. He also served as a policy researcher at the Korean Institute, primarily focusing on environmental conservation. In 2002, Dr. Lee Geoparks to Korea and played a significant drafting National Act on Geoparks, which was enforced in 2011. His dedication to promoting geoparks in Korea has led to the designation of 7 UNESCO Global Geoparks, building upon the existing 16 national Geoparks. From 2017 to 2019, he held the position of Vice Coordinator for the Pacific Geopark Network. It's an extensive publication, reports, papers, and has delivered many presentations and talks. Furthermore, he's undertaken numerous visits to foreign advancement of geoparks. Our next is Dr. Ayu Krishna Yuliawati. Dr. Ayu Krishna Yuliawati is a lecturer in management at Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, whose expertise lies in sustainable marketing, digital marketing, tourism, geo-product development, green entrepreneurship, MSMEs, and community impact. She led and contributed to numerous national and international research projects funded by organizations such as UNDP, DFAT, GIZ, and Indonesian government agencies. Her work focuses on climate resilience, sustainable livelihoods, digital transformation of MSMEs, and inclusive economic development. In addition to research, she serves as a consultant, trainer, and international organizations development program. Now, purpose for a reason for being the moderator for this topic is because the topic is of course very close to my heart, law, but it is something that hopefully we all can explore later so that we can better understand how geosciences influences for geoheritage and geopark governance. And hopefully from today's sharing, we can learn how the superpower called geosciences can then use to actually shape and also enforce laws so that we can ensure the sustainability of our geoheritage and our geoparks. So without further ado, I'm going to invite our first speaker, Dr. Sujeli. Dr. Lee, the floor is yours. There is a timekeeper. So what the timekeeper will do, react. So you will probably get this when it's like close to the last 5. You can see on my screen, right? There's a in the sky, right? So yeah, get that reminder so that it doesn't disrupt your presentation. So looking forward to it. So the floor is yours, Dr. Lee. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me, Dr. Sarab. I'm very honored to be invited to this very important event. So maybe I should share my PPT. How can I share? Yes. There it is. Okay. So everybody can see my point.
Perfect.
So my presentation and it is mainly focusing on legal framework on Geopark. So my name is Sujeli. Also, I'm retired now, so I enjoy Geopark activity in Korea. And maybe this acronym will be very familiar to all of you, but I don't know whether somebody will be some first time to see this kind of acronym. As you see, UGP means UNESCO Global Geoparks, IGP means International Geoscience and Geoparks Program. And for simplicity, I will call South Korea as simply Korea. And last year, the Ministry of Environment was changed to Ministry of Climate and KHS, Korea Heritage Service. Me, I am now and my main focus is Geopark in Korea. I will tell you only 2 things. The first one is the legal framework and for Geopark and Geoheritage of Korea. And the second one is Geoparks of South Korea. So let me see the first legal framework for Geoparks and Geoheritage of Korea. So, do you see my the mouse pointer?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. To the left side, in Korea, the competent body, the governing body is the Ministry of Climate, Energy, and Environment, deals with National Geopark. If you see to the right side, the natural heritage and geoheritage is governed by Korea Heritage Services. This case is under the umbrella of the tourism department ministry. And there is maybe that is the only National Geopark Act in the world, we think, or the first Geopark Act in the world. We call it Natural Parks. Under the Natural Park Act, there is a chapter 4-2, there is a Geopark chapters are provided. And if you see the right side, the natural heritage is governed by the Framework Act on National Heritage. And under the FRAME Act, there is an Act on Creation and Utilization of Natural Heritage. We simply call it ANH. So
Sorry,
mainly
Dr.
in
Lee?
Korea.
Sorry, Dr. Lee,
Yeah.
can you turn it to a full screen present? At the
Okay,
moment,
okay,
it's in
thank you.
PowerPoint. So
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So thank you. So the National Geopark is under the control of Ministry of now I call it MCEE, simply or environment. But the natural heritage or geoheritage is totally governed by the KH. And the survey body, the survey means the or the maybe try to excavate some geopark or geoheritage is something like this. The minister of the MCE is serving now geopark. But the KHS has this kind of things. Natural heritage is done by this KHS administrator. And the protection side, if you see the protection, the duty under the Geopark ordinances. So in this Natural Park Act, there is no protection articles, but it is described under the ordinance. But in this case, the protected protection zones are provided in the Act. And in Korea, usually Geopark is implemented by Korea Geoparks Secretary. And under this service, there is a special research institute for researching and studying natural heritage. So simply, the park and the geoheritage in Korea. But personally, I think that even if the geopark is some kind of geological heritage-based system, if there is a good geoheritage in some local area, it can be good geopark candidate. That is my personal opinion. So in the upper side, you will be very familiar with we can divide about 3 periods, the EGNO Chinese Geopark period, and the GGN period, and the GGN UGP period. So in the year of 2015, the UNESCO has formalized under the IGGP program. But in Korea, there is very interesting progress in Korea. In 2003, we first found the Geopark concept on website. So there is first research in 2003. And in the year of 2010, the Jeju Geopark joined the GGN, Global Geopark Network back then. So because we understand that our geoheritage is so valuable, so this first Global Geopark Network made a direct impetus for the Geopark legislation. So about 2010, I started policy research to introduce the legal system in Korea. So 2 years later, we have passed the Geopark Geopark chapter under the Natural Park Act. So I think this is the first act in the world that has the Geopark chapter. So in the year of 2012, we started the statutory Geopark period. So in this progress, now we saw the 16 national geoparks in Korea. So I will give you a short explanation about how to become national geopark in Korea. And in Korea, only the governor or metro mayor can be the management body in Korea. So if any local area want to be a national geopark, the governor or metro mayor should submit the application dossier. So if they send the dossier to the Ministry of Climate and Energy and Environment, they will send the application dossier to National Geopark Secretariat, and they will ask about the opinion from the expert group. Then the expert group will evaluate and assess the qualification of the aspiring national geopark. Then they will return to National Geopark Secretariat. Then the National Geopark Secretariat will report to the Ministry of Environment. Then the Ministry of Environment will open a National Geoparks Committee, and the chair is the Vice Minister of MCEE, and they will decide whether accept, defer, or reject. Then if they accept it, they will return to the document to the Ministry of Environment. Then finally, the Ministry of Environment will notice as a national geopark on official gazette. So this is the simple procedure in Korea, how to become the national geopark. And this is very complex articles or provisions, but in our Natural Park Acts, there is an articles about Article 2, there is a category of geoparks. There are 4 categories. One is national, provincial, county level parks, and the other thematic kind is geopark. So in definition of geopark, we have somewhat different from the UNESCO Global Geopark. The UNESCO Global Geopark has the geological heritage is stressed, but in Korea, we enlarged the definition into earth science rather than the geological heritage. And the purpose is very similar, to conserve and utilize both the geoheritage and education industry and the tourism industry. So if you see in Korea, we use the word accreditation, not the certification, because the accreditation means some kind of the government institute. The certificate means some kind of the NGO or NPO. So as the government is involved, we use this word. This is a similar word with the certification. So we have 7 articles on Geopark chapter. So if you see each article, there is a very interesting provisions are here. If you see the 36-5, the central government has some supporting for the geopark. So they have the articles about survey of geoheritage, research on geopark, knowledge dissemination, and the development of experience and education program, and international cooperation, and organization and operation of networking and other methods. So because of these provisions, many Korean geoparks are supported by the central government. Also, we have very interesting systems, for example, the geopark guides. So in Korea, only the national certificate holders can be in geopark guidance. So they are fee-based education and training. There are fee-based and education training courses for guides. So they must implement at least 100 hours of education and training. So also there is interesting provisions for the reimbursement of expenses. So central government usually gives some financial support to the national geopark if they become a national geopark. So, sorry. And if you see the presidential decree of the Natural Park Act, you can see there are documents needed to apply for the National Geopark. And there are four standards for the accreditation of geoparks. And we have the Geopark Committee regulation and period for correction. This is similar with the UNESCO Global Geoparks, the maybe some recommendations. And we have the qualification standards for the Geopark guides. So this is provided under the Act. So simply, we have very strong regulation on geopark management and operation in Korea. So I will summarize some of our achievements and significance of the legal institutionalization of national geoparks in Korea. So first, we are the first country who conducted the institutional experimentation far ahead of the formalization of the international norms. I mean, the IGGP was formalized in 2015, but we have 2011, and we have the National Geopark Act. And we have established the National Geopark stages, and which is very easy to go for the UNESCO Global Geoparks in Korea. And we established a national operational basis within the institutional framework. So this can be very clear and very transparent who can be the National Geopark in Korea. So in the second, sorry. In Korea, the management body of the geopark must be the local government. So if the local government is designated as the management body, then there is a very long-term stability in financial and the staff for the operating and the managing the geopark. And it is very easy to make some kind of infrastructures and facilities. Also, we have a mandatory regulation for employment for the geological experts. So every geopark in Korea has the geological expert who graduated at least the master degree or the bachelor's degree of geology. So we think this quality standard is very important in operating the high standard of geopark in Korea. So under the national regulation, the central government should or must provide some financial funding to the national geopark, so which makes very stable fundamental basement for the long-term operation and management of geopark in Korea. Also, the central government has provided some the Geoheritage inventory project, so which is to excavate or assessment of geological heritage in Korea. And the most important thing is that there is a National Geopark Secretariat was formulated under the National Park Service. So usually these are the formal body for the assertion or managing or operation, and they usually help geopark disseminating in geopark information to the every geopark in Korea, and they can be the secretary role in activity of Korean National Geoparks Network. And usually, if some local national geopark has the role of the secretary, it is very overburdened to the local geopark. So fortunately, Korea has this kind of organization. So we are very happy to operate and manage all the national geopark in Korea. So finally, we have the quality Geopark guides and interpretation systems. As I said before, we have the national certification system. So if they are trained very well, and we have big potential to give very good geo storytelling to the visitors, so which can improve our geotourism potentials. So I will tell you some short information about the program of inventory of geological sites in Korea. So this is conducted by Ministry of Climate, Energy and Environment, not by the Korea Heritage Administration or Service. So central government had conducted the inventory of geological sites in Korea, and it is, there is an articles of 36.5. There is an article number, first, there is a survey of geological heritage. Because of these provisions, the central government conducted this kind of inventory of geological sites in Korea. So the inventory program started in the year of 2014, and up until now, it continued to its progress. So it developed about, and the funding is from the Ministry of Environment, and usually every year $3 million is provided by the central government. And maybe, there is no, okay. If you see yes, this is the example of the inventory of geological sites of all South Korean territory. So if you want to, for example, if you see this is 22 is not Geopark yet, but if the local area want to be a national geopark, they can find this kind of information, and there will be second degree of geological heritage and the first degree of geological heritage here. So they can promote, or if you see all the other national geoparks, you can see the red dot is the first or international degree, international geological significance. So every local area can easily find the geological heritage information using this kind of database. So for example, the Jeonbuk West Coast Coast Geopark first found this kind of information through the database. So they easily utilize this kind of information when they prepare the application dossier to UNESCO Global Geopark. So I'll give you a simple closing remarks. So the first one is Korea established the legal foundation for geoparks at an earlier stage before, 2015, and which entered a phase of stable geopark operation in Korea. And the central government has consistently has the attention and support to the national geopark. And I think that this can be a firm basis for the long-term development geopark progress in Korea. And even though because the geopark is focused on the geotourism, our national regulation has lacked the information or provisions about the private sector engagement. For example, the marketing strategy or skills or business model is very lacking. So my personal opinion about our national park system, the national geopark system must have this kind of some supporting provisions for the private sector engagement. Thank you for listening my word.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lee. That was so informative. I've got a million questions to ask you, but I won't. Instead, we will hold the questions towards the end. For those of you who've got questions for Dr. Lee, please jot your questions down in the chat box so that later we can come back to it. So without further ado, so that we can keep the momentum going, I'd like to invite Dr. Ayu. If you're ready to share, Dr. Lee, can you make room for Dr. Ayu to do her sharing? So Dr. Ayu, if you don't mind, oh, hang on, Dr. Cindy, you have to stop sharing first.
Okay, thank you. I will try to.
1 second.
One moment.
Dr. Lee, do you mind stopping sharing? Ah, brilliant. Okay, Dr. Ayu, when you're ready, the floor is yours.
Yeah, operation. My screen. Try to.
Dr. Ayu, do you mind
Yeah.
increasing the volume, please?
Okay. Can
Thank
you
you.
hear my voice now?
You're a bit soft. Can you
Okay.
increase the volume a little bit more?
Okay, let me try. This is like, I think the maximum. Can you hear me clearly?
A bit soft.
Okay.
Or is it
Okay,
me?
okay. Let me try to speak first. Okay.
Are you all able to hear Dr. Ayu? Or am I the only one who's got a problem with my speaker?
Okay. Test 1, 2, 3,
Ah,
4.
okay. A bit
Okay.
soft, Dr. Ayu.
Okay. I think I'm going to reach
Perfect.
in.
Now you're perfect. Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right. All right.
Oh, you've gone soft
Okay.
again.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak in this pulpit. My name is Ayu Krishna Yuliawati, and I'm an associate professor of management at Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. And today I'm presenting on behalf of both myself and my colleague, Professor Muhammad Safari Dwi Hadian from Universitas Pajajaran, who unfortunately could not join us today as he has some field work. Professor Safari brings the deep geoscience expertise to this collaboration, and I bring the governance, marketing, and community livelihood lens. Together, we have worked for 13 years in the Geopark science area. So today, I will do my best to honor both perspectives, where I speak about the geological and legal architecture in Indonesia. I'm reflecting about our shared research and Indonesian regulatory frameworks as we have studied and worked together in aspiring and UNESCO Global Geopark. And here I will also speak about the governance section on community MSMEs and governance innovation. And that is where I stand my ground. Next slide. So we'll start about why the science law interface matters. In here in Indonesia, we start, and also maybe in other geoparks of the world, especially also in Korea and in China, it starts with the science. It starts with the science that creates the knowledge, where through the geoheritage inventory, the geodiversity assessment, and the geological significance, is all guided by the science and fieldwork. So here we can see that through the guided science and knowledge, the geoscientists will show which of the sites should be protected, which of the sites have the value in the heritage inventory. So after that, then the law creates the uh, part of the process from science to law. That's the bridge that is formed through the designation of special planning, which creates which creates protection for the geological heritage sites. And then there's also the enforcement of the law because there's a protection for the geological heritage sites. Then there's also the enforcement that is sustained by the law. So, and the next step is the governance part. In here, we can see that the governance part manages what uh, happens to the geosites and what happens to the interaction between the community and the, there is a bridge for connection between the science law and the governance part, especially in the Indonesian Geopark. Go through, can see the parts where we have like a journey from Indonesia's Geoheritage and the Geopark. So I met Prof. Sapari and his team working on the Geoheritage assessment and also working on an aspiring geopark to become a UNESCO Global Geopark in 2013. It was in Merangin, Jambi. At that time, it was part of an effort by the geological scientists and also by the government, local government, and the ministerial government to add more UNESCO Global Geopark in Indonesia because in 2012 there was only a Bali. And that's a part of the journey when we did like many field visits with the community and field survey, and also a lot of socialization about how to develop and manage a geopark in the early days. And during that time, there was no law or protection that recognized the geoheritage as a natural, strategic, and cultural asset at that time. It was 2013. So it takes more than 6 years after that to finally have a national legal recognition. Before, in the 1980s, it was just conservation area. It was just bioconservation area of Karang Sambung as a geological reserve. So you can see that the evolution is more than 20 years before we can have actually the law in progress. So there was many field activities, many scientific discovery and socialization to the community, to the government, and many other efforts to be done to make this possible uh, national legislature. In 20, regulation, and this is the ministerial framework from the Ministry of Energy and Mineral. And this is where they define how to do the geoheritage inventory, how to do the geoheritage and biodiversity assessment, and what are the standards of protection. So, because the presidential regulation does not stipulate like technical mechanism of how to do these activities, then the ministerial framework follow through after the presidential regulation. And now, in 2021, recently they have a national geopark regulation again under the ministerial decree. So we can see that in the national regulation, even though we have like the geopark budget in 2012, and then we have the 2014 or 15, the geopark of Seoul, UNESCO Global Geopark Seoul, and then we have also the UNESCO Global Geopark Chilatu, but there was no real regulation about the National Geopark or Geoheritage Regulation on inventory assessment and etc. So it was a process. And during the 2020, it was an expansion of geoparks in in Indonesia. Right now, we currently have 12 UNESCO global geoparks 11 national geoparks. And I think about 5 expiring geoparks in Indonesia. And I think more is coming through because we receive lots of areas wanting to become a national geopark or aspiring geopark in Indonesia. So it was like a rolling ball in process since 2012 to now 2026. It's about almost 13 years of my work with safari in the geopark area. And it creates international impact because we have so many UNESCO global geoparks. We also have many collaboration or geo or diplomacy, can say that collaboration with other countries regarding geopark. And then what is the future? I think the future Indonesia geopark will look at the economic sector of the geopark. As Professor, as Dr. Sejali mentioned, I met I think I met him in Makassar during GeoFest in 2024, and I was inspired by his talk, really inspired about his talk about how Korean geopark have evolved and have increased the livelihood of community, the street farmer. I still remember the story, the street farmer and the Geo house. And those are real proof that there's economic increase due to the geopark um, introduction in the area. And so with this, again, I'd like to show you all there are three main frameworks for the geoheritage legally. Again, the top layer is the presidential regulation, and this is the national mandate, the umbrella for identification, protection, and management of geological heritage and geoparks. And then the mid layer is the ministerial, where there's the Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources that regulates how to operationalize the mandate, the national mandate, into technical criteria. So for the geosite classification and the base layer for national geopark regulation, is defining the government standards of institutional roles in the geopark, the community benefit obligations, and how it can be aligned to the UNESCO. So this is like the three pillars of legal framework in Indonesia currently. And then in Indonesia, we have the Pentahelix Gov Committee at the center of it all. Well, as you can see here, the model, there is a working development or working procedures between government, academy, as the regulatory authority. Scientific, because Geopark starts with scientific research, geodiversity assessment, geoheritage designation. And then to the government side, the law, the legal backing, the framework, the policies, and then to the community and business, where there is local livelihood integration, MSME development, geoproduct value chains, and economic resilience. But more important, we have to communicate these governments, we have to communicate these regulations to the media and the public, and also the geopark community through public awareness media. And this is all coordinated by the National Geopark Committee, or of the KNGI, in the national form. So the Committee of National Geopark Indonesia served as a bridge between the national government and UNESCO also. This is like, this is really model governance in Indonesia. So now let's to the next conversation. Geoheritage conservation, the regulatory, legal foundation of the geoheritage and the geopark into the intersection of my research, which is the management science, the geoproduct development, and the community livelihood in the geopark context. Okay. So I have worked in Marangin and in Belitung before they were UNESCO Global Geopark. And I can see the benefit of economic of what geopark brings. But it's not easy to achieve because local economic growth was measured to tourism growth and local income generation. That means that if the tourists stop coming to Marangin, Jambi, Air Batu village, then the people in the village, they won't have an income because mostly nowadays rely on rafting because they have a rafting tour. When we started there, when we started in Marangin, Jambi, there was no rafting company in the village. But through our work and our support, they have the local community have developed for the local economy a rafting tour in Desa Air Batu in Merangin Jambi. So this is achieved. And also community participation is achieved because the community itself, they do the geoheritage protection because their livelihood depends on it. I especially see it in Jambi and Belitung and in other geoparks, and also in Chilatu and other geoparks that I've worked with. And then, however, when today, when tourists stop coming, there is a problem, and we need this resilience to help the community still get their livelihood. Because such as when there's COVID-19, the tourism stopped coming to Belitung Island, and almost half of the MSMA have to close the business, not permanently, but most of them have to shut down their business in tourism. So we need this governance to monitor the economic health of the community and also climate preparedness. As you know, there was climate change is an issue, especially in the ASEAN region. And we also have experienced this climate hazard. I will talk more later about. But here we see that geoheritage can be transferred into geoproduct, MSMA, or community well-being, or household income. So, geofood, geocraft, the fashion, the surfaces, they can become something meaningful if connected to the storytelling which scientists produce about the geodiversity and the uniqueness or rarity that the area has. But this needs interpretation, scientific knowledge, and much, much more collaboration. But that is part of a geopark, education, sustainability, and more. So the geoproduct transform geological heritage into sustainable livelihood. And here we should not only measure through macro measurements like visitor arrival, tourism revenue, or locally generated revenue, or infrastructure count. These are important, but they don't touch the grassroots level in which Geopark have committed themselves to have a bottom-up approach. MSMEs are communities living inside or outside or nearby the geopark. They need to be helped and they need to be work together in the governance of the geopark. How? can we count the household income level, the market index, the business resilience score, because we only monitor tourism performance, but not economic health. So I propose that we should look into more deeper, because this is the grassroots level, the community, the bottom up of a geopark. They are the fabric of the geopark, the community. And this is what I was talking about. Indonesia experienced climate hazards and climate disaster. As you know, in November or the beginning of December 2025 in Padang area, there was landslide, massive landslide and heavy flood. And during those time, MSMA option and also in Cilacap Sukabumi, this reduced the revenue by 40% in those peak tourism months. So there's no resilience monitoring system. How can we protect our geopark community when the climate hazard is not in the governance path? So also, how can we protect our geoheritage through this disaster, the climate disaster, if it's not well documented or monitored in the governance framework, especially in Indonesia? So I think what I suggest, or we suggest rather, Professor Pai and I, conservation, tourism, and community is important, but this is a linear flow. I think we need a more model, a bi-directional feedback, community livelihood and conservation that go together hand in hand, because governance must integrate community economic health as part of conservation outcome, not as a byproduct. So what we propose is a certificate system for bioproduct. So there is a premium product for local community to sustain their livelihood, even though tourism uh, path does not occur, tourism activity does not occur in the area. And also economic indicators in the ground to really measure the health of the MSMA community in Geopark, and also climate resilience monitoring, because again, community and geoheritage are severely impacted due to climate disasters, which is very likely to increase in the coming years. And then the last, I propose that we do a collaboration together where Indonesia and Malaysia, we can go hand in hand in geoproduct development, resilience framework, and we can work together with the Korean and the Chinese geopark about the accreditation, the monitoring system, because as Prof. Sujali has presented, they are very advanced in those of training, knowledge management, and science, integrating them in governance model, and also of us together as an ASEAN geopark of building the governance system, a governance framework for community benefit across the members of the geopark, where we share our knowledge and about the governance framework and about the climate resilience in the community throughout the geopark area. And with that, I will end. Geoheritage conservation is not complete just only when the geo site is protected. It is complete when communities can sustainably benefit from the heritage they help to conserve. And thank you for this opportunity. For discussion, please do not hesitate to contact us further. I will
Thank you very much, Dr. Ayu. That was a lovely sharing. So we have heard from two I would say, amazing presentations. We've heard from Dr. Lee. We've also heard from Dr. Ayu. And I have a million questions for them, but I am actually not going to hog the floor. And I would like to open this up to everyone in the room. We have 157 minus me, 156 of us here in this room today. And I would like to invite you all to also drop your questions in the chat box if you can. Or if you want to speak, perhaps you could raise your hand and turn on the mic and then address your questions to the two panelists. We are supposed to finish at 4:50, but I think by the time we start the questions rolling, we may even overrun. I hope not lah, but for some of us. I see there's already in the chat the first question from Dr. Iswaran to Dr. Lee, asking about whether or not the geological heritage financial support is equivalent or equal to the biodiversity support. And I believe Dr. Lee has replied saying it's not enough. Would you like to add more to your response, Dr. Lee?
Oh, very interesting question. And usually, if you think only about in the past Ministry of Environment, usually the Ministry of Environment is mainly focused on biodiversity. But if you think about the Korea Heritage Service, usually the many financial support were given to the cultural heritage. But this year, the geologists were commissioned to the head of the service, Korea Heritage Service. So now the total fund is now quantum jumped. So maybe later I will give you some rough statistic and I can search the maybe national budget and we can, and as you know, the World Heritage Committee will be held in Busan in July. So usually in the past, for a long time, more than 40 or 50 years, usually the cultural heritage is mainly focusing in Korea. But fortunately, 2 years ago or last year, we have as I showed in my PPT, there is a Framework Act on Natural Heritage. So this is an independent act. So now, at the moment, I haven't the detailed information, but I will give you later the total. And my opinion is that the number is quite increasing now. So we have big chance to cooperate between you and Malaysia or Indonesia or other countries. So maybe I will give you some information later.
Oh, that's amazing, Dr. Lee. Dr. Ayu, there's actually a question for you in the chat box. It's from Dr. Iswaran as well. He's asking the question that I wanted to ask actually. Has indigenous knowledge been helpful in defining geoheritage or geopark laws in your country?
So, regarding laws, I think they are not including the indigenous law yet, but in each area of a geopark, there are indigenous community, and they have the indigenous law inside the community, but that is respected by the geopark management because it is part of the culture of the people living in the territories where the geopark operates. Let me give you an example because there is our indigenous community living in UNESCO Global Geopark Chile. They have like called the Adat, where they have like their own law that you cannot use like maybe technological devices in the ceremonies or use the modern way of living in those area, and that is respected. So when we go there, we turn off our devices. We do not open our handphone or camera, etc., because it is part of the local indigenous law that forbids using technology. So that even though it's not written in the national framework law, but it is something that we as Indonesians and also in Geopark, they respect that law and we adhere to the law of the community. And that happens also maybe in the video before you see the Kampung Cisangkal, where they have a law that local law that you cannot enter the forest without the local guide. Because why? This they call this the forest is forbidden forest, but it's actually a way of protecting the forest because they have a 200-year-old durian tree. Okay, they have a 200-year-old durian tree, and they don't want that tree to be destroyed by somebody coming in and doesn't know what they're doing there. And they also have like the stream where it is very clear and you cannot like just take water or without permission from the local village chief. So that's a part of the law that is not written in the national law, but is formalized in the community. And as a part of the Geopark, we respect that law. So that's from my side. Thank
Mm.
you, Dr. Farah.
So I guess sometimes you don't have to cast everything into stone because the community themselves can actually sort of help protect the resources
Right.
without having strict laws. Okay, I
Right.
hope that answers your question, Dr. Eswaran. Are there any, okay, we've got two big questions here. We have a question from, we have a question from the Philippines. Hello, everybody. So I'm not going okay, two questions. For Dr. Lee, the first question is, Korea established a specific legal framework for national geoparks under the National Park Act. For countries where geoparks are managed under existing protected area laws rather than dedicated geopark law, what minimum legal provisions do you consider necessary to ensure long-term sustainability of UNESCO Global Geopark? The second question, you highlighted the sustained central government support. What specific forms of support were most critical during the first 5 years of the geopark development? Funding, staffing, legislation, technical assistance, promotion. Would you like to take the two questions, Dr. Lee, in the chat?
Yes, I'm once again reading again, so I need to a time to understand the key questions.
Okay.
Okay. For countries where geoparks are managed under the existing regulations rather than dedicated for countries where geoparks are managed under the existing. What minimum legal provisions do you consider to ensure long-term sustainability? This is very interesting question. About 15 years ago, when I first drafted the first law in Geopark, as you know, for example, there's a national park in Korea, and the restriction of behavior is very strong. For example, you cannot cut down any trees or something, or you can excavate any rock samples in the national park. And when I opened that first draft, many local area which overlapped with the national park, and the national park applied for the geopark. So suddenly we provided, hey, the pre-existing the restriction of behavior is still applied to the national park. Even if you overlap the geopark, it is not released. So the pre-existing rules and regulations still apply for the some protected area. Even if you have the geopark overlapped, you must follow the pre-existing rules. But there is a compromising between if, for example, the Italia or the other country usually very overlap with the pre-existing national park. In Korea, about 3 or 4 geoparks overlaps in the national park, but in Korea, we usually promote the outside of the national park. If you have a totally overlap with the national park, it's very complicated. There may be very complicated situation will happen. So in Korea, we usually suggested if you want to be a national geopark, you must enlarge, including the national park. So for example, the Danyang UNESCO Global Geopark, there are 2 national parks in their territory, but intentionally, we try to find geoheritage outside the national park. So in Korea, usually we don't promote very strong geoheritage in national park, except some maybe Mudungsan Geopark. Inside the national park, there's very important geological heritage site. But in Korea, we don't usually totally overlap with the national park only. And the first question is what minimum legal provisions do you consider necessary to ensure long-term sustainability of UNESCO Global Geopark? But for example, the other country, not the European country, because they are in the year of 2015, there was a global geopark network period. Back then, the national park and the national geopark or the UNESCO global geopark are not. Back then, global geopark usually totally overlapped. But after 2015, UNESCO Global Geopark Council usually recommends enlarge your geopark rather than national park. And the second question is, your presentation highlighted sustained central government support as a key success factor. Yes. What specific forms of support were most critical during the first 5 years of geopark development? Funding, staffing, resolution, technical. I will tell you the Korean story. When I first make some geopark concept in Korea, I am a policy researcher, and I started the geopark study in 2003. When I first touched the local government officials, their question was simple: is it legally based or arbitrary? So if it is not legal based, so we don't pursue that kind of things. So, but fortunately, after the designation of global geopark in 2010, the Jeju, even though there is no national regulation, I started once again policy research. As I said before, hey, the global geopark, back then the UNESCO ad hoc supported. So under the auspice of UNESCO, so I utilized that word. Even though this is not formal UNESCO program, this is under the auspice of UNESCO. So some national congressmen accepted my idea. Okay, we can have our national geopark. So the first thing was the national regulation first. And back then, I asked some other persons, what kind of supporting is very important? So that is why we made some reimbursement provisions. If the local government has some chance of receiving some central government's funding, they don't worry about receiving some money from the central government. For example, Jeju Island, if they receive some, for example, US $100,000 from the central government, that is not big money, but the local council usually allocate a big amount of budget. Hey, the central government admitted this kind of financial support to our local geopark, then we will give you big money to promote the geopark activity in Korea. So as today's topic is the governance only, but I didn't give you the economic impact or benefit. But because the Jeju Island was so successful in promoting geopark, so the local government council also allocated big amount of money to promote Geopark. So the question about the funding is very important, and also the staffing. Fortunately, in Korea, the local government is the management body. So it means that there is a permanent officials who can control or manage the Geopark. So we don't worry about giving the salary. Then when I go to other countries, it is big issue. And after 3 years later or 4 years later, there will be no salary budget. But in Korea, at least one person is allocated to deal with this kind of Geopark in Korea. So the staffing is also important. And the legislation is we provided already. And finally, the technical assistance is finally very important. Usually, in these days, I usually go outside or even domestic in Korea. When I asked the manager or the geoscientist, they usually don't know how to deal with the Geopark stuff. So at the initial stage, you need the funding and staffing, but in the maybe some maturing stage or developing stage, you need the technical assistance. For example, the Professor Ayu Kishina analyzed the geotourism or governance of a private sector or something. So because the Geopark is the final purpose is geotourism and sustainable development. If you suppose that even if we protect very important geological heritage or Geopark, if there's no economic benefit, it is useless. That is my personal opinion. So we must focus on how to popularize the geo activity or local business model. So I fully agree the opinion of Professor Dr. Ayu Kishina.
Oh, the community. Yeah. That's a very good, actually, those are two very big questions. Even Malaysia suffers from the same issue. We don't have a specific regulation, but this is something that we can learn from Korea and also Indonesia. Okay, I'm going to go to the next question.
Number three. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
Beyond, there's a number three. How does it? Sorry.
Hang on. Before we go to the number 3, can I go to can I just, there's a.
No. Sorry. There's a question 3.
On the national park.
I didn't delete it. Sorry. Beyond the government funding, what revenue generation mechanisms have been most suited in Korean geoparks while still complying with that is not perfect. Anyway, actually, if you say the ratio of the budget from central government, provincial government, local government, and the private sector, the central government is only maybe less than 10% of total geopark budget. Usually, provincial government has roughly 20 to 30%. So usually in Korea, the municipality, the local, the maybe city or county level provide enormous amount of money. But we have very good system in Korea. We have another funding system. So even though the Ministry of Environment cannot give big money to the National Geopark or UNESCO Global Geopark, we have another funding program provided by the central government. So if you have a National Geopark title or UNESCO Global Geopark title, you can apply for some funding system. For example, the Hantangang UNESCO Global Geopark, they are very near to the big dam. So in Korea, usually if there's some big dams, there is some supporting money for the local residents. Usually the local geopark government apply for the money to popularize geopark activity in this area. So usually after designating the UNESCO Global Geopark or National Geopark in Korea, we usually suggest that, hey, you can have some geopark visitor center in your area. So its cost is roughly 10 million US dollars or so. So usually they will receive that kind of funding system in Korea. So maybe next time, if it is some kind of economic benefit of mobilizing, then I can give you further information about them.
Right. Oh, actually, Dr. Lee, you've jumped into the next set of questions. There's actually question 1 and 2, which is new. So if you look at question 1 above the question
Once
3,
again, oh,
yes.
sorry.
So
In
the
Korea,
first
the
question
local
is
government
what governance arrangement would you recommend for multi-jurisdictional geoparks? And the second question would be on what lessons can be adapted, incorporating the local communities and traditional knowledge.
Sorry. Then
Okay. Then we
I
can
will
close
read
this,
again.
this
Okay,
box.
I will read again. In Korea, the local government serves as the managing body of the Geopark. In Mount Apo, government is shared among member rulers, indigenous people, and other stakeholders. Yeah. What governance arrangement would you recommend for multi-jurisdiction Geoparks where no single institution has complete authority over it? Oh, this is some kind of technical approach. In Korea, even though the legal management body is the provincial government, the governance structure is like this, including provincial government and like the some indigenous. In Korea, we don't have indigenous people. We just call it local people. And if the provincial government is the management body, then the local municipality, the head of the some kind of county mayor or a city mayor should be involved in the management body. And also there is the independent public body, for example, museum or a foundation or something. So technically, if you see the English Riviera webpage, you can see the definition and the organization structure. Very interesting. Yeah, so I can give you the further information if you need some information in Korea. And the second question is, how does Korea incorporate local communities and traditional knowledge holders into Geopark governance and interpretation, and what lessons can be adapted for Geopark with indigenous people as well? Frankly speaking, there is a big issue about the indigenous people in other geopark, but Indonesia, maybe I'm not sure whether the definition of indigenous people is very tricky question. You are the specialist in laws, and for example, in Chinese government, they don't agree. They have only minority group, not indigenous. But as this is not the place for the definition of the indigenous people, and I have some experience in traveling in Indonesia. There are so many indigenous people or local people. And UNESCO, this is a UNESCO's regulation or recommendation. You don't ignore the indigenous people or their knowledge. So sometimes when I try to find chance to travel in other area, some professor requested, why did you use the local word in interpretation panel? So you must use the geological terminology in this information panel. But the professor was wrong because UNESCO suggests using the local word. That is for the local people's, this is for local people, not for the geologists or other people. So usually, if you use the local word for your interpretation panel, it is the best one because UNESCO now try to protect the traditional knowledge or traditional language or something. So if the local language is used or presented in the information panel, then the young children, young students will learn, or they will have some pride to keep their traditional way of life. So as we go back to the other, technical assistance is very important in this case. So there is a knowledge gap in UNESCO Global Geopark. So last year, when I met the UNESCO staff, I suggested maybe this year, maybe Indonesia, not Malaysia, because the Malaysia is very advanced geopark activity. then there will be an Indonesian workshops for the training for the local people. And you will receive some evaluators during the evaluation. So the evaluators will remain after they're finishing their evaluation or mission, then they will open then workshop to give more detailed information or discuss. So, and this conference is very interesting for me. And these basic questions are there are this kind of question is very many happening in every event. So maybe less than maybe 2 years or 3 years later, when we can see, then many people will learn directly from the UNESCO or other experts. Sorry, my wrong answer. And local communities. And the question is how does Korea incorporate local communities? Yeah, this is very must do things. Incorporate local community into geopark activity and traditional knowledge. Yeah, and fortunately in Korea there is a regulation act on the preservation and transferring to the next generation about the traditional knowledge. So when I make some application dossier to UNESCO, I usually utilize that kind of report. So this is provided by the Korea Heritage Service in Korea. And the question is also integer governance and what lessons can. Okay. The interpretation, about the interpretation, we usually have the education program is very important in Korea. And now Korea is the developing stage to incorporate that kind of traditional knowledge into the education program. So I can give you some Korean case if you need some how to combine the A plus B plus C. So I have some examples on it. And the third question we already done.
Okay, we'll need
Sorry,
another
Michael.
No, I think we'll need another session to actually expand based on the questions. I think we've got another new way of looking at geoparks again. But I'm going to give you a minute's rest, Dr. Lee, because there's actually another question for you, but I'm going to let Dr. Ayu now address her questions. Dr. Ayu, you've got two questions, again, from the Philippines. The first one is, how do Indonesian geoparks measure whether local communities are truly benefiting from the geopark designation? Because you raised that in your slide. And the second point is, you identified the measurement of all the household income, MSS survival rates, and also the community resilience. Have you got this framework or indicators in place for the geoparks? That's a question from the Philippines.
Okay. For the first question about beyond the tourism revenue, how Indonesian geoparks measure the community benefit. Right now, currently, the national geoparks in Indonesia and also the UNESCO Global Geopark in Indonesia rely heavily, again, on quantitative tourism data. But however, now geoparks also are shifting to a more holistic method where they look also at the local employment ratio and that can be sourced directly in the local village. But right now, is those measurements are separated by like if you have the Ministry of Tourism, they will use the Sustainable Tourism Observatory measurement to monitor the socioeconomic impact of tourism on local households, meaning it can be on the geopark territories. One. And then number two, they use the measurement of the Village Development Index or IDM in Indonesia. And this is by the Ministry of Villages, the development of disadvantaged region and transmigration uses for villages located in the geopark boundaries. And this index tracks the changes of economic resilience, social infrastructure, and ecological sustainability. Again, they are separate measurement from separate ministries. And the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Economy, they track the digitalization of MSME, and the survival rate is monitored through the digital adoption of e-commerce onboarding and training of the MSME in the Geopark in the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises. So it's a different ministry. So there are tracking measurements, but they are on different ministries. And right now, I don't think their body of the Geopark management have like one unified tracking for the Geopark system because they use the measurement from the several different ministries, line ministries in Indonesia. But I have right now doing some research and work currently about the geo product measurement in the Geopark. We are conducting the research since 3 years ago, and we you have yet to finalize this measurement in the Geopark. Because I also have been working with the national geopark, such as the Yogyakarta Geopark is a national geopark. They have many MSMEs, and they right now are establishing like the criteria for the MSME in the geopark. So that's a starting, and also what are the premium geo products that they can develop with the narratives of geodiversity, cultural diversity, and biodiversity in the National Geopark of Yogyakarta. So it's still in the early phase, but hopefully we will have this in next again in the next years to come. Because again, we need to have this measurement as part of the governance, so we know what the grassroots level, this this MSME community in the geopark, have they survived or not during the developments of geopark. But from what I discovered, these many micro small business are heavily in agriculture business, such as they are fruit farmers, they make chips, banana chips, and etc. But when the fruit goes bad, like there's the dragon fruit goes bad, they have to cut down the trees. They change the crop into pineapple because that happened in the Global Geopark Chiletu, where I help the farmers to have a new gel product, the pineapple product from shifting from the dragon fruit. So
Right.
again, that's part of the resilience because they have to come up with something new for their livelihood because one product may not succeed.
Mm.
So we don't have we don't have it in place. We have like several different indicators in several line ministries, but they're not integrated yet. It's
Right.
my answer.
Okay, Dr. Ayu, there's actually another question for you, but can I hold for a
Mhm.
second
Yes.
because
Yes.
we have a participant with his or her hands up. I have Payman S. Othman. Would you like to turn on your mic and ask your question? Secretary, can you help?
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Uh,
Good morning. Good morning.
Sorry.
Sorry, would you like to introduce yourself very quickly?
Sorry, I don't understand, but I don't have any question. Sorry, because
Oh.
I'm coming. Yes, I don't. I don't hear everything,
All
so
right.
I'm waiting. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Because I saw your hands up, so I thought I'll ask. Okay, so coming back to Dr. Ayu, there is also another question for you. And it is actually from Cik Shamil Abdurrahman, asking that they're facing the same situation, where it was damaged by local authority and it's not a legally gazetted area. The question is, how can they help prevent this in the future? So based on your experience, what do you think we can do?
Okay. Based on my experience, like when it came like to several caves in Indonesia, even though it's not UNESCO Global Geopark or a national geopark, just a local geopark. But if it is part of the geoheritage conservation or protection area, then that site should not be damaged, and it can. And if it is damaged, like if it's damaged, then we can like do legal action because because in Indonesia it is designated as a protected site for geoheritage, then we can, as a community, we can pursue legal action for to the person or to the organization or company that destroyed this geoheritage site. We can pursue that because they have legal basis and it's written in black and white. This area is for geoheritage conservation area. But if we do not have that in place, the legal basis, the legal sounding, usually the people in Indonesia or the community in Indonesia, they have like the hukum adat or the indigenous law, the local law of the community, in which if you like cut a tree in Merangin Jambi in Desa Air Batu, if you cut a tree, you don't have permission from the local head chief, then you must pay a fine. You have to give like two chickens or a sheep or something like that. So that's
Right.
a so that part is the enforcement from the community because they have the local law or the local community law like that. So and also that person or that can be banned from entering the area in the future. It's something like that. So there's a legal thing that we can do if it's a protected area, and there is a non-legal, but based on community,
Right.
like that. Okay.
Wow. Okay, so it's not that simple actually. You do need the legal basis, but you also need to make sure that it's balanced with the community needs. Dr. Lee, we missed one question earlier. There is a question that came from Taiwan. So the question
Yes.
is at 409, and you put a note here, you're preparing to answer the question. Would you like to take this question and respond?
Yes. The first question is, sorry,
It's
is there
okay.
particular article in the South Korea's National Parks Act to encourage natural parks? This is questions Natural Park Act to encourage commercial geoparks. Some tricky question because the Natural Park Act. Okay. Anyway, if we combine in geopark, and in Korea, if you start the geopark activity in Korea, first, the applicant should open a public hearing for the local people. That is a legal necessity. And secondly, if there is a geopark committee is formalized, the local people should be involved as a member of the geopark committee. And also in the ordinance, the local community should be involved. So also, when the geopark is started, their activity, there should be a council, which is mainly composed of local community and the public officials. So they should have some meetings in promoting geopark activity in Korea. And also in the certification criteria, there is an items whether your geopark has such kind of community involvement or not. Also, we should have the geopark should have some partners, mainly living in geopark area. And also in Korea, usually geoguides should be the local people. So naturally, in Korea, in the initial stage, the local community involvement is very necessary or mandatory things in Korea. So I can give you the English version and the other version. And okay, and secondly, national parks covered by the Natural Parks Act. Yes, national parks are covered by Natural Parks Act. And by the way, I'm thrilled. Yeah. Congratulations. You have very good the National Geopark system in Taiwan. And about 2009, I visited Taiwan. And after visiting the Taiwan Geopark, I determined to make Korean national act on Geopark. Once again, thank you very much.
Wow, the inspiration came from Taiwan. It's so
Yes,
interesting.
yes.
Very, very
And
interesting.
maybe this is somewhat very sensitive because there is a UNESCO member or not. But I visited also China and Taiwan. And when I visited China, they have their regulations, even though
Yes.
it is not passed in the National Congress. So I gathered some information from Taiwan and China. And back then, also, I consulted with the Malaysian geoparks because the Langkai is very the first geopark in the world. So when I asked some, do you have any regulation or
No.
something? So it was very interesting experience for me. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Okay, we have one last question that has not been answered yet, and it's from the Philippines, and it's for Dr. Ayu. There are three questions here. The Geopark products, and then the climate risk assessment, and also the common indicators and standards. So would you like to take the three questions, please, Dr. Ayu?
Okay. Okay, for the first question about which products gives like generate the greatest, most sustainable benefit for our community. Well, based on my experience and research, since Indonesia is mostly an agriculture country, an agricultural country, so most of our products are related to food, related to the agriculture. So we can have like coffee, and we also have like honey, such as other geoparks also have something like that that related to tradition. I know in Korean geopark they also have like a product tofu. If I'm not wrong, Dr. Sejali, they have like a tofu in Korean geopark. We also have tofu in Indonesian geopark, especially in geopark in Japanese in Yogyakarta geopark. They have also a tofu. So the food with the geological narrative is very close because again the coffee comes from the volcanic area, so it has a very good taste because we actually like did a study with Prof. Safari, determining like the soil, what can produce, how we can make the coffee grower in the volcanic soil to taste much better with the also the correct expert and so the coffee turns out to be more productive after we intervene in the process. Again, because geology comes in and other scientists comes in, and it became like a premium product. And actually, this is like the product, the Robusta coffee from Pangandaran. So we can make a difference in the geopark if we integrate the works of the scientists and actually work together with the farmer and make the packaging with the local agency for economy and the geopark. And this have a benefit for the farmers and also for the women for the women who more women in the MSMA who are mostly working to process this coffee or this like the other food products. So I think the most, almost about 70% of the SMAs are working in the food sector, and most of them are women there. And that's a interesting fact from the field. And for the second question about the integration of climate risk uh, in and the risk of disaster, Indonesia has the IRBI or the risk climate risk and disaster risk index because we are located in the ring of fire and we also experience climate change as a rising temperature, rising seawater, um, and this is part of the pillar in the Geopark. When the Geopark do the master plan, they have to have the zoning, the planning based on those risks. And when the SMAs, they also have those training for business continuity, even though the training is very limited for MSME. But for business continuity during disaster, such as earthquake or flooding or drought, this is already happening because the Geopark must collaborate with the agency in local agency for disaster management. So they do like adaptation and mitigation activities for climate change in the local communities. Even though it's still limited, again, it depends on the funding. And there is a mitigation education about climate risk in the geotourism area where there's education material for the local and the tourists visiting the area in the center, in the Geopark center, such as one in Bali, where they have like a Geopark museum, and in Bandung they have hazard and disaster education sector. So it's usually written in the Geopark center. Uh, what kind of disaster, or what kind of risk the area have. They have it, even though sometimes it's not complete information. It's still evolving process. And they also have, like in Bali, community-based early warning system for the Geopark, which use the uh, technology for the integrated for the weather. And this can be integrated with the local community to a geopark governance. But again, it's not written written in black and white in the geopark governance, but it's in the master plan of the geopark. And some conservation activity such as mangrove planting and tree planting, forest restoration, and also water course preservation activities for to uh, to be implemented by the local community working with universities. So it's actually the pentahelix is working on also on the field because again the geoscientists, climate scientists work together with communication scientists and community leaders and geopark managers to have these activities implemented in the grassroots level. I hope that answers the second question. And for the third question, yes, I see opportunities. We can like the livelihood is a common problem for geopark in ASEAN geopark and also climate change, especially in the Philippines. You experience also the drought, the heavy flooding, and the rainfall. And I think we can work together in measuring community livelihood, the impacts of these hazards and disasters, and for geoproduct development. And Malaysia, I think Langkawi, when I visited, I see the geopark development is very advanced, and I look forward to collaboration with Geo product or Geopark in Malaysia also. Okay, thank you, Professor.
Gosh, I think even the questions that we had prepared have all been asked, and I thank everyone who's actually posted all the questions in the chat box. I don't think 2 hours is enough. I think we need more time. So maybe the organizers and the secretariat can start thinking about maybe having a massive conference so that we can bring all the experts and everybody who's got this passion for geoparks and geoheritage and geosciences to come and sit together, and maybe we can really have a proper platform for discussion, because 2 hours is I mean is not enough. There's just so much more to explore. So before I hand this back to the participants, to the secretariat, I would like to say thank you very much to the two panelists. It has been amazing. I think everybody in the room would agree that they have the sharing was just amazing. There's just so much more to know. So if we could show our sign of appreciation, we can't clap loudly. So can you all just, yes, that's what I meant, clap virtually. So thank you so much for all the sharing. It is amazing. And I think the Secretariat has got some stuff to also say and share. So thank you again. And it has been an honor for me and a privilege for me to sit here and listen and learn. There's just so much more to do and so much more to explore and to unpack. I mean, geoscience forever, right? So because all the stories of the earth, all the memories, all the stories are all embedded in the earth's layer, and only geosciences can actually unpack that for everybody so that we can enrich our heritage and also boost the local community. So, Secretariat, Dr. Sharina, the floor is back to you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Professor Aziz.
Indeed, I concur to Professor Sarah Aziz. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for a great session. Thank you very much from the bottom of our heart to our dear Professor Sarah Aziz for such an amazing moderation, and also to our wonderful panelists, Dr. Lee, and also Associate Professor Dr. Ayu, for being here together with us. So kindly and so patiently answering to all the comments and to all the questions. I myself for sure have learned so much from this virtual forum. And this is such a wonderful opportunity. We indeed have learned many key things on the importance of science law interface for and in geoheritage conservation and geopark governance. So I would also like to share with every one of you that today we are joined by a number of participants, and especially coming from the country of Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, and then we have China. I'm reading the list here that is being shared with me by Nazrin, and from Tanzania, Cameroon, Morocco, Kenya, India, Singapore, Egypt, USA, Australia, Russia, Hong Kong, Antigua and Barbuda, Mexico, Timor-Leste, Madagascar, Taiwan, Iraq, South Korea. So of course, so all of you are representing your respective agencies, higher institution, education, local communities, and from various industries like the quarrying, mining, oil and gas industry, tourism, and even town planning. Also, on behalf of the organizer, we would also like to thank our dear partners of this virtual forum, the Board of Geology Malaysia, Institute Geology of Malaysia, the Asia Pacific Geopark Network, Korea Geopark Network, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Universitas Pajajaran Indonesia, and also the Department of Mineral and Geoscience Malaysia for all your wonderful cooperation to realize our today's event, and to our esteemed Geological Department and Program at local university, friends, partner, local communities in all the Geopark in Malaysia and across the Asia Pacific region. And we are also thankful to our Information Technology Center of UKM for giving us the technical support to Lestari UKM. So just a few housekeeping notes to all dear participants. Do not forget to fill in the attendance form, which is provided in the link, as you can see in the chat box. Thank you, Nazrin. And you will receive your e-certificate. And also the recording of our today's session will be available soonest in our research website. So inshallah, we look forward to welcoming again all of you to our upcoming forum in September with more exciting topics related to geoheritage and geopark. And until we meet again, and I'd like to say thank you very much to everyone. Please take care. And terima kasih and gamsahamnida. Goodbye and assalamualaikum. Bye,
Waalaikumsalam.
everyone. Please, may we have a quick photo session? Is that okay if everyone would kindly on your videos? Thank you. Okay, Nazrin, we are ready for our photo session. Everybody, are you able to on your video? Okay, Nazrin. Okay, give your best smiles.
Okay, okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. One more. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you, Nazrin, and thank you to all the team of our virtual forum. Thank you, dear everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Praveen.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Ayub.
Thank you for inviting me. Have a
Thank you,
An
nice
honor
day.
to have
everyone.
all of
Dr.
you.
Lee and Dr.
Bye. Thank you.
Ayu.
Thank you. Terima
Prospera. Dr.
kasih.
Tana is here. Hi,
Yes.
Dr. Tana.
I come in the last 1 hour, so I really enjoy the discussions. Yes,
Yeah.
very much. Thank you.
Thank you.